Hello guys, welcome to Nerdy Ape Gaming, and today we will be checking out one of the best B550 motherboards you can get in the market right now, the ASUS ROG STRIX B550-F Gaming Wi-Fi 2, an AM4 motherboard that supports the latest AM4 CPUs. Small disclaimer here, this video is not a review, this video is an overview so we can help you decide whether to get this motherboard based on its features and also to show you what accessories are included inside the box. Before we unbox this awesome motherboard, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more tech content. And don't forget that every product we are featuring in this channel are available on our website at nerdapegaming.com. Alright, let's dive in and check what's inside the box of the ASUS ROG STRIX B550-F Gaming Wi-Fi 2. First thing you will see is the motherboard itself wrapped in an anti-static plastic bag. Then we have the ASUS Wi-Fi moving antenna. Not sure if this is similar to the previous version that has a Wi-Fi 6 antenna. We'll also get an addressable RGB adapter, 4 SATA cables for your 2.5 or 3.5 drives, mounting screws for your M.2 SSDs, M.2 pads for your existing M.2 SSDs, and some cable ties. ASUS also included a welcome or thank you card, ASUS ROG keychain, and the classic bundle of ASUS ROG stickers. Last but not the least, we have the quick start guide to help you familiarize this motherboard, the user manual, ASUS web storage offer, and a DVD for the software. I am not sure why they still include DVDs, but hopefully they will replace them with a flash drive that can be used on modern day PCs. Now let's take a closer look of the ROG STRIX B550-F Gaming Wi-Fi 2. Take note that this is a Gaming Wi-Fi 2 version. There's also another version that is Wi-Fi edition only, so if you like this motherboard, make sure you have the correct model name. Of course, this is also available at our store, nerdapegaming.com. First off, at the bottom part of the motherboard, we have the front panel audio connectors. There's also a Thunderbolt header if you have an add-in card to add Thunderbolt connectivity. There's also a 12 volts RGB header and a 3-pin 5 volts addressable RGB header. There's some sensor headers, a PWM fan header, 2 USB 2.0 headers for some more RGB and other legacy things. There's also another PWM fan header and the front panel connector for your case, lights, and audio so you can tell your PC is on. At the side of the motherboard, there's a 6 SATA ports for your 2.5 or 3.5 drives. There's also a USB 3.0 header next to the 24-pin power that will give all the power needed on your motherboard, and next to that are a couple of LEDs for diagnostics. Instead of having an LED screen, these 4 lights will tell you what's going on if there's a postcode error. In the top part of the motherboard, there's a 4-pin RGB header as well, and 2 PWM fan connectors for your AIO and air coolers, and 2 EPS power connectors. One is an 8-pin and the other one is a 4-pin to provide power to your overclocking needs. There are also a 2x16 size 2 PCIe slots on this board, and there are 3x1 slots as well. Since this is a B550 board, it doesn't have active cooling on its chipset, just a giant heatsink to cool the chipset. The VRM setup for this board is a 12 plus 2-phase digital VRM setup. It has a VRM heatsink at the top of the board and another one beside the I/O shield to help cool those MOSFETs. This motherboard has a standard AM4 socket that supports Ryzen 3000 series and above, but make sure to check the ASUS website for compatibility and BIOS update needed on some CPUs. A quick note on this motherboard doesn't support 3200G and 3400G, but supports later APUs like 4000 series. You can also see more PWM fan connectors next to the socket of the motherboard for I/O connector and CPU fan connection. At the back of the motherboard, there's nothing much going on this part of the motherboard. The only thing you can see is the standard mounting backplate for your coolers and some ASUS ROG branding. Let's take a look at the M.2 setup and remove the M.2 heatsinks. Towards the top, this M.2 slot supports Gen 4 M.2, which will give you full speed, and the one at the bottom M.2 slot only supports PCIe Gen 3 M.2 SSD. There are also 4 DDR4 RAM slots that supports a total of 128 gigs of RAM Lastly, at the rear I/O, we have a BIOS flashback button, a bunch of USB ports, a Type-C port, more USB 3.0 ports, and a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port. There's also a display port and HDMI port if you will be using an APU for this motherboard. We also have the Wi-Fi antenna connector. There's also a 7.1 digital surround sound ports and an optical output and an integrated I/O shield. And with all the technical specs and features you've heard, all it comes down to the price, of course. This is always one of the major considerations when buying a new motherboard. The ASUS ROG B550-F Gaming Wi-Fi 2 is the best B550 board you can get and supports overclocking. Great design and featured pack specs. This board has an MSRP of $210 depending on what store you will be looking at, but at nerdyapgaming.com we sell it at a pretty reasonable price of $204.99. And that's it for the ASUS ROG STRIX B550-F Gaming Wi-Fi 2 motherboard unboxing and overview. If you are interested in getting one of this motherboard, it's available at nerdyapgaming.com. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the upcoming build featuring this motherboard. And thank you for watching and see you in the next video.